If you're a Spider-Man lover, buckle up because today's video has some jaw-dropping updates about Spider-Man 4. According to recent leaks, we might finally have a title and some major plot details. So, get ready as we dive into what could be the next epic journey for our favorite web-slinger. The title for Spider-Man 4 has been revealed, or at least revealed again, depending on if you trust the previous report that the title was Spider-Man. Apparently, a new title has emerged that's gaining a lot of traction, and the new film will be called Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you just got PTSD from that, I get you. Well, it looks like we could have our title for the next Spider-Man film, Spider-Man 4, as a new production listing gives us a title for Spider-Man 4, and this has everything listed on it: the production company, the producers, directors, where they're going to be shooting, but of course most importantly, the title for Spider-Man 4 and plot details about it, which does mention Avengers Doomsday. Also, some twists and characters that we have to talk about, including Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Now, I will say it does look like fans might be getting the best of both worlds. It looks like this movie might start off pretty grounded and almost somewhat normal, which is an interesting thing to think because this movie comes out between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Avengers Doomsday comes out May 1st, 2026. Spider-Man 4 comes out just months after July 24th of 2026. Then, about a year later, we have Avengers Secret Wars May 7th, 2027. So it's smack dab in the middle. It's supposed to be, at least we heard, this big multiversal film, which is what Sony originally wanted Spider-Man 4 to be. However, thankfully, luckily for us, Marvel Studios is in charge of this, and they wanted it to be grounded, and as we get into this, you'll see that we're probably getting both. But first, let's dive into what this production listing states that the name is going to be. Now, according to this production weekly listing, the name of Spider-Man 4, the title is going to be Spider-Man Brand New Day. And what is interesting is that I've seen a lot of really interesting theories out there that state that this could possibly end the trilogy. That is, so Spider-Man 6 could possibly end being titled One More Day, kind of playing off what they did with Home. And the Homecoming trilogy, we had Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. So, people are thinking that we're going to have Brand New Day, just another day, something like that. But then the end will be One More Day, which is a really popular comic that is both liked a lot, but not liked a lot. But what is very interesting about this specific comic, One More Day, is it ends with Mephisto changing history so that Peter Parker and Mary Jane were never married. It's a huge thing, and Mephisto completes the deal. Peter wakes up in bed alone. He's living with Aunt May, which is the whole reason he made a deal with Mephisto. They did that to save Aunt May from dying. So, he's once again living with Aunt May. He attends a party for his best friend Harry Osborn at the NDC's MJ Walking Away, and all of the guests toast to a brand new day, hence the title. It's quite an interesting theory, especially because Mephisto was named Dropped in Agatha all along, but this production weekly listing does talk about the plot. We'll get into that in just a bit, but first, so let's go into what this production listing has for the plot of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, like I said, it's got a lot of information on it, including where they're filming, location United Kingdom, director, Destin Daniel Cretton, cast Tom Holland, Zendaya, producers, Amy Pascal, Kevin Feige, normal stuff. Then it lists the plot, which reads, following the events of Doomsday, Peter Parker is determined to lead a normal life and focus on college, stepping back from his responsibilities as Spider-Man. However, peace is short-lived when a deadly new threat emerges, endearing his friends and forcing Peter to reconsider his promise. With stakes higher than ever, Peter reluctantly returns to his Spider-Man identity and finds himself teaming up with an unlikely ally to protect those he loves. And here's a rather interesting part. It ends by stating Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, Michael Keaton, Vulture, and Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doom, mentioned to join the cast, so not confirmed, but mentioned. Now, this is pretty much everything this listing states. It's Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is the plot. Now, keep in mind, Production Weekly has gotten these right many times in the past, But there have been times where the listings have been wrong. They have been right a lot, but they have been wrong, so take this with a grain of salt. This is most likely the title, and this is almost likely accurate, but there is still a small chance it could be wrong, or they could simply go on to change the title. But as of right now, this seems to be the title for the next Spider-Man film, and I like it, especially coming out of Avengers Doomsday. We do not know what's going to happen in Avengers Doomsday, but of course, many of us are guessing or theorizing that the movie, Doomsday, is going to end with some big multiversal implications. Because at this point in time, I think we all assume that in Avengers Secret Wars, there's going to be no multiverse, it's all going to be destroyed, and we're simply just going to have the void or battle world. I've said it this before, but I think they actually really told us what is going to happen with the multiverse in Deadpool and Wolverine, where Cassandra said, she's going to destroy universe after universe after universe until there is nothing left in the entire multiverse, but the void itself, which makes sense because it does exist outside of space and time. Not only that, but it's essentially a junkyard of where the remnants of destroyed universes go, which is essentially Battleworld, something created out of the remnants of the universes that died. So if the ending of Doomsday is going to start to set that up, it would make sense that right after Doomsday, if Doctor Doom wins, and he gets away, and the Avengers are kind of just sitting around and waiting, wondering what they could do to help the multiverse, not really knowing what they can do, it would make sense that Peter, after this big, huge fight with Doctor Doom, who looked just like the person he loved, his mentor Tony Stark, it would make sense that he would be physically, mentally, and emotionally drained after that battle, and might simply just want to go back to being a normal kid. You also consider the events that happened in Spider-Man No Way Home, that's probably pretty taxing and tolling on him as well. And perhaps the events of Avengers Doomsday reverse the spell that Doctor Strange did, so everybody will remember that he's Peter Parker. Then he could go back and be with Zendaya. So, Peter just wants to be a normal kid, going to college, just living a normal life. But then something happens. And I'm assuming that is the imminent threat of his universe being destroyed. Perhaps an incursion is about to happen. Perhaps Doctor Strange comes back after dealing with Clea and incursions himself. I made it could literally be anything at this point. But something brings him back. And obviously it's going to be a huge threat because it's going to threaten his entire world, which is very on par with the multiverse saga. Now, it also says that he's going to find himself, teaming up with an unlikely ally to protect those he loves. And I found it very interesting that this listed Michael Keaton's Vulture, because to me, although it's not totally random, what Sony seems to be doing with Vulture is totally random. So, what would a King in Black storyline look like in the MCU? If the movie takes inspiration from the comic arc, we could see Spider-Man standing as Earth's last line of defense against a deadly symbiote invasion. Null's arrival would bring chaos, and Spider-Man might have to team up with some unexpected allies to stand a chance. He was in the MCU, he got locked up, then we saw him in the Sony Spider-Verse and the post-credit for Morbius for whatever reason. And now, all of a sudden, he's back in the MCU. I find this very strange, but if his universe is going to start to have incursions with other universes, perhaps Keaton's Vulture jumps over, and that is his unlikely ally. Because although it also says Andrew Garfield could return, and I do believe that he will return, that wouldn't be an unlikely ally. In fact, they've been allies before in the very last Spider-Man movie that we got. So I don't think it's him. It could be somebody like Daredevil. But again, considering Matt Murdock was in the last Spider-Man movie, I don't think that team-up would be unlikely. The Vulture one would be unlikely, because the last time he saw Vulture, he was fighting him, although he did save his life. But that would be unlikely. Also, and I have to say it, Venom would also be pretty unlikely, and the threat that could get him to return also could be Null. Now, a lot of insiders seem to think that Sony might be moving away from this idea. It was a very big idea that they had, at one point in time, to bring Null and Venom over to the MCU, but due to some things changing, and the release date being in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, it seems like they might have changed their mind. However, that of course is still a possibility, and Tom Holland just last week said that they are still ironing out some parts of the script. But he did say that he loves it so far, that it's amazing that him and Zendaya were jumping around their hotel rooms, their apartments, because they love the script so much, but there are still some things that they have to iron out. So it's still evolving, it still very much could change, but I do like the idea of Peter Parker trying to live a normal life, trying to go to college. It is something we kind of experienced with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, where he quit being Spider-Man for a bit. Some people might think we don't want to go back to that story right away, but I do think it's a very realistic thing that somebody, like Peter Parker, who has had a very hard time being a teenager and a superhero, and especially with the last Spider-Man movie, lost a lot of people that he loved, Aunt May, and then everybody forgetting who he was, it's a hard time. So yeah, it would make sense, and it would be pretty realistic that he'd want a break, and just want to be a normal kid and date a normal girl, MJ, and live a normal life. But that is just my thoughts on this. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you like this for a title if this is indeed our official title? And would you like this as a plot? And who do you think that unlikely ally could be? Please let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with Spider-Man, and of course the entire MCU. Stay tuned, stay amazing, and remember, with great power comes great responsibility.